What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday. Jake Waxman, Tom Lavalette, two guys talk sports. Let's rock and roll with this Waxon Wednesday, starting with the bad news Bears. Well, not this last weekend. They were actually the good news Bears. And all I gotta say, reacting to this game, is holy cow. What happened to the Chicago Bears from 2 weeks ago? Where was this effort that I saw? The Chicago Bears against the Dallas Cowboys. Where was this effort in week 1 and week 2? Okay, that was a lot of fun to watch. All I gotta say is Coach Ben Johnson has arrived in Chicago. Against the Dallas Cowboys, he brought that creativity out. He unlocked some hidden things about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, his best game as a Chicago Bear came this past Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. And granted, okay, it's America's team. So and perhaps you can make the case that the Cowboys are not a good football team this year, or at least they got a good offense, but their defense is questionable. But last weekend, Caleb Williams had the kind of game he needed to have, and you know what? If he keeps on building up from this game, he's going to continue to make me eat my words about him, because you guys know I've had concerns about Caleb Williams and whether or not he's really the quarterback of the Bears. But you know what? He balled out against the Cowboys, I should have started him in fantasy football too. Gosh darn it! I lost this week in fantasy football, and I would be 3-0 in fantasy football if I'd started Caleb Williams. But he really looked comfortable. He was getting the ball out quicker. He was making quick decisions. He wasn't perfect in that game, but over 140 passer rating says it all. Best game so far of Caleb Williams' young career, and I hope that the kind of game he had against the Cowboys means that his confidence is only going to go up from here, because he looks strong. He was in his groove. He was comfortable. He wasn't panicking in the pocket or dancing around too much. He was making quick decisions. And you know what? Best thing I saw, that touchdown pass to Luther Burden III. And congrats to Luther Burden III on his first career NFL touchdown. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the Chicago Bears, Luther Burden. But on that play, Caleb Williams, he threw that dime from the pocket. He was, in that moment, he was a pocket passer. That, if you're an NFL fan, or regardless of who you root for in terms of the NFL, you want to see your quarterback throwing dimes from the pocket. That play to Luther Burden III, absolute dime. Best throw I've seen Caleb Williams make. And he stepped into it. The mechanics looked great. And the fact that he was throwing from the pocket, just standing in the pocket and throwing that strike, throwing that dime, it was beautiful. That's what I want to see Caleb Williams do more. Be comfortable in the pocket, throw strikes, and throw footballs from the pocket, and you're going to progress a lot in this league. Ben Johnson has found something in Caleb Williams. At least I hope. But Ben Johnson, I always knew, okay, the Bears, I like Ben Johnson. I always thought the Bears made a good decision to hire him as their next head coach. And finally, third game of the season, he was in a rhythm. Ben Johnson was in a groove, calling up some of the best play calling I've seen on offense. I mean, he was in a zone, and it helped that Caleb Williams was making a lot of plays. Ben Johnson, though, man, oh man, he was doing a great job being the conductor of the orchestra that was the Bears offense last Saturday. Defense, still some work to do, a few too many yards given up, but you know what? The defense made progress too. I mean, 3 turnovers. You get turnovers, you're going to win games. When you get 3 of them in which the offense turns into points the other way, you're going to win football games. This is the Bears team I want to see going forward. With an offense leading the way and a defense that complements that offense, or an offense that complements the defense. Either way, I just want to see good Bears football. What I saw against the Cowboys was damn good football. I loved it. Ben Johnson in a groove. Caleb Williams, who I've had doubts about, he was a groove. He was in the groove. You know what? He was the groove. And same with Ben Johnson. You know what? Caleb may have just made me eat my words. And this may be the beginning of him forcing me to eat my criticisms of him. But happy for Caleb Williams, and I've also talked about Rome Odunze. He continues to just ball out. Had a touchdown in this game and a couple nice catches. It's great to see Rome Odunze continue to take strides forward in his sophomore campaign. So, lot to like. I mean, okay, I know it's the Cowboys. It's America's team. Everybody likes to laugh at America's team, but you know what? This is the kind of game the Bears needed to have. Caleb Williams needed this kind of game. Ben Johnson needed this kind of game, and the Bears as a whole, they needed a win desperately. They played well for the full 60, and they got a W. They got rewarded. So, hopefully, playoffs or not, hopefully the good vibes start here. Overall, hopefully Caleb Williams continues to progress. Ben Johnson, I knew he had some magic in him, and we finally got to see that magic in Game 3. It was wonderful. Ben Johnson was engineering offense in that game, and it was marvelous to watch. So, Bears, 1-2 on the season. Let's see. And now they got the Raiders coming up. Let's see if they can continue this momentum. And now on to my second subject. Now we're going to start with a pair of subjects that have me just like, what? Okay, so 2 days ago, we had a bombshell from college basketball in terms of news. Absolute bombshell. For those of you who have not heard, Auburn coach Bruce Pearl is retiring. He will no longer be the coach of Auburn basketball. And this is before the season is even going to start. His son, Stephen Pearl, is taking over the reins at Auburn basketball. So Stephen Pearl will be the new coach of the Auburn Tigers basketball team. But, wow. I can't say I saw this coming. Some people will say it was due to NLI, which, I mean, you can make a case in point there. Changing rosters, that doesn't help. Now, here's a crazy rumor I heard in terms of why Bruce Pearl is leaving Auburn. Supposedly, he's getting into politics, and he's looking to run for, I think, one of the 2 Senate seats for the state of Alabama, which gets, like I said, that's definitely something I've never heard of before. So, supposedly, that's a rumor, that he's looking to get into politics, and he's campaigning for one of the 2 Senate seats in Alabama come the next election cycle, which is next year in 2026. First of all, I didn't even know Bruce Pearl was a man of politics, if this is true. But either way, his sudden retirement is it comes as a surprise, yeah. I can't say I saw the signs, but his retirement also is part of a string of a whole bunch of coaching retirements that have been strung together from season to season since NIL really became prominent. So I'm not saying NIL was the reason why Bruce Pearl retired. I mean, it is a big reason he had a great team last year, led by Janelle Broom. But, man, oh man, the winds of change keep on sweeping through college basketball. And I'm just not sure if it's a good thing, but Bruce Pearl, he was definitely a character, to say the least. But under his guidance, Auburn basketball had some of their best times as a program. I mean, 2 Final Fours. You know, you get your program to the Final Four twice in your coaching tenure. That's great stuff. So Bruce Pearl definitely took Auburn basketball to new heights. Now he's hoping that his son Steven can take him to even greater heights or continue the tradition at Auburn and keep him rolling as a competitive basketball program. They've also, of course, Auburn's going to have their work cut out for them because, while I don't remember names, at least one of their basketball players has hit the transfer portal already with the news of Bruce Pearl stepping down or retiring as the coach. And once again, I don't like the timing of this. Before the season even starts. Like, you couldn't just go on one more season with the Tigers and then retire? I don't get it. You know, it was kind of the same thing with Tony Bennett at Virginia. He just retired before the season even started. I don't know. I don't get it. But maybe I'm not supposed to understand it. But regardless of the reason behind Bruce Pearl's decision, I mean, his record speaks for himself. I mean, he was a good coach at Tennessee, but he was an even greater coach at Auburn. And I wish Bruce Pearl nothing but the best in whatever endeavors he decides to do next, whether it's being a senator from the state of Alabama or whatever it is, best wishes, Bruce Pearl, and thanks for making college basketball all the fun to watch. And I wish his son Steven all the best in running Auburn basketball. So there it is. Another in terms of coaching, another face of NCAA men's college basketball stepping away from the game. Whew. Okay, now, oh man. So I talked about the Cubs. They're in the playoffs. But now I got to talk about something that just... Okay, I'm just going to start by saying this. Tigers fans, I feel your pain right now. I sympathize with you because your Tigers are going through a rough time. And Tyler Lavalette, I'm thinking a lot about you because I don't know how to explain what's going on either. All I can say is this. What in the world has happened to the Detroit Tigers? What has happened? This was a team that looked like a surefire, at the very least, a surefire playoff team. And a team that could probably do some damage in the playoffs and maybe even make a World Series. Me and Tyler at one point, we were talking about a potential Cubs versus Tigers World Series. We know the Cubs are going to be in, but oh goodness. There is now a possibility. All right, I'll get to that in a moment. The Tigers. Oh my goodness. So here's their streak. The Detroit Tigers have lost 7 games in a row. 7 games in a row. And they have picked the worst time to go 1-9 in their last 10 games. And because of that, the Cleveland Guardians have caught up with the Tigers. As of right now, last I checked, they're leading the Tigers 3-1 right now in the game that they're playing. They're tied for the AL Central. Cleveland has the tiebreaker at the moment. But here's the bigger thing. So we look at the playoff picture. As of right now, so we talk about our teams. Cubs are, as of right now, would be a 4 seed. The Detroit Tigers, if the season were to end right now, they would be a 6 seed. Okay, they'd be in the playoffs, but they've still got 4 games left to play after tonight. And they are not in yet. The Tigers have not clinched. They're not even comfortably in. Being a 6 seed, of course, no comfort there. They're going to have to... Oh, my goodness. So, currently, right now, the Tigers are 85 and 72. Then, and not too far on their tails, hot on their tails, is the Houston Astros at 84 and 73. So if the Tigers cannot get things settled, if this losing streak continues, oh my goodness, they are going to miss the playoffs. And to think me and Tyler were talking so positively about this Tigers team, they were looking like a World Series contender, or at the very least they were going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. But once again, I'm just reminded that, you know what? The MLB regular season, it's a marathon. It's no sprint. You got to pace yourself during the regular season so you make it through the playoffs. And Tigers fans, you probably know more about this than I do, but I just got to ask, what has happened? What has happened to the Detroit Tigers to go from looking like a World Series contender to potentially missing the playoffs? My goodness, I am just... Oh my god, I'm stunned. Like, wow, the Tigers have collapsed. I'm stunned that this is happening. And Tigers fans, feel free to comment and say what you will, because again, I'm not a baseball knower. When I do watch baseball, I tend to focus too much on my Cubs. But seeing the Tigers collapse, it's stunning, and it's kind of sad actually. And by the way, you guys know me, I'm a Chicago guy, but I don't dislike the Tigers, all right? Because they're not the Cubs' biggest rival. That belongs to St. Louis and the Chicago White Sox. You guys know that. But to see the Tigers just struggling like this and about to potentially miss the playoffs is just jaw-dropping. Like, what happened? You know, are they dealing with injuries? Is the me and Tyler talked about the bullpen for Detroit has struggled a bit pitching as well. And if you're a baseball team, sometimes your offense is going to go cold. It happens. Same with pitching. But I wonder if something else is going on with the Tigers. Yeah, there's a lot of questions to be asked. Have they just run out of fuel at the worst possible time? Is this really all they got left? Are they just in a rut at the worst possible time? Or is this a Detroit Tigers team that peaked way too early? That is what I'm wondering. And again, all I got is questions right now. Rhetorical questions about this Tigers team. And you Tigers fans probably have way more answers than I do. But one thing is for certain. It's stunning to think that me and Tyler, we were talking so much positive vibes about this Tigers team. So many positive vibes in Detroit and Motown. This Tigers team was looking like a contender to go to the World Series, if not win it. Or at the very least make a whole lot of noise in the playoffs, just like they did last season. To go from that to potentially on the outside looking in. That's frightening. It just... You know what? I'm going to ask the same question that a lot of you are asking. What happened? If they don't get things turned around quickly, and they've only got 4 games left as far as I know. 4 games to get things right and make the playoffs. Either as the champion of the AL Central, they could steal it back, you never know, or the 6th seed in the AL playoff picture. But this does not look good this is not looking good for the Tigers. And Tigers fans, I feel really bad for you. And I say that because my heart is hurting for my man Tyler Lavalette. I believe that the Tigers are his favorite team. And to see a collapse like this happen, not gonna lie, I'm disheartened for him. Truly, I am disheartened for my friend Tyler because I know how much the Tigers mean to him. And I will just add one more thing to the Tigers. Hey, you guys got to get things turned around. Focus. Find that spark. Turn the flicker into flame. Do what you got to do. Every team goes through a cold streak in the regular season. Unfortunately, the Detroit Tigers have picked the worst possible time to go through a cold streak. Got to get something going before it's far too late. Oh man, there's still time. They can still win enough games to make the playoffs, but again, I thought they would have had their postseason spot locked up before my Cubs. That's how surprising this really is. And I thought it would be my Cubs that would blow their regular season and end up missing the playoffs. It would have been typical Cubs fashion. I did not expect this from the Detroit Tigers. Just wow. And if the Tigers go on to miss the playoffs, that organization is going to have its work cut out for them in the offseason because there are going to be a lot of questions. And above all, everyone in that Tigers organization will be looking at looking at themselves in the mirror, asking themselves, what in the world happened? So to Tyler Lavalette and to all Tigers fans, I sure hope they get it turned around in the quick snap, and hopefully they win. They got their last series is against Boston, and I got a bad feeling they're going to have to win all 3 games to make it in the postseason. And that won't be an easy thing considering Boston. Now, Boston probably will be in the playoffs, but they're fighting for playoff seeding. And that won't help the Tigers. So, last 4 games, Tigers are going to have to be on their best if they're going to make the postseason. But right now, once again, feeling bad for my man Tyler Lavalette. As of right now, his Detroit Tigers, they are in deep, deep trouble. And this collapse that they've been on may just end up being their undoing in 2025. Oh boy, I hope they get it turned around, but it's just not looking good if you're the Detroit Tigers. A lot of work to do. And not a whole lot of time. All right. On to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 24th of September, 1927, the New York Yankees set a record of 106 victories in baseball. That's a lot of wins. And of course, you know who was a part of those Yankees teams? None other than the great Bambino, Babe Ruth. Alright, sports fans, that's all I got for this week's Wax On Wednesday. I hope you've enjoyed it. And this is Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports, wishing you all a good week. See you guys for Friday Roundtable with my man Tyler Lavalette.